The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The return of Justin Fields. That's right. NFL insider, Jets insider, Brian Costello thinks that Fields is going to play again. We'll tell you what he said and talk about the latest with the Jets. Matt O'Leary will join us. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Guys, we always say this, and I always going to be pretty. I got one game ball.
Let's keep it going next week.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go here on a Thursday. Show number 1 on the day. Welcome in, everybody. The reason we're starting in the 9 a.m. hour is because from 1 to 3 today, I am filling in for Michael K on ESPN New York. So you can watch it on the ESPN New York YouTube channel or listen on 8:80 a.m. or the ESPN New York app. So because of that, we start early, and I intend to give you guys a second stream later today with Dylan Terriman. But right now, we say hello to our guy, Matt O'Leary, who always joins us every single Thursday around this time. Matt, thanks for coming on an hour early, and I hope you're doing well despite having to be a Met fan at the same time of being a Jet fan.
It's the absolute worst, Jake. Thankfully for you, you have the Yankees, who I know you probably would like to see a championship a lot sooner than the 15 years ago that they last got one. But a rough couple days for me with the Mets here, losing some fan favorites, but excited to talk some Jets with you today.
Oh, the Jet talk is great. But I will say this, because you are a diehard Islander fan. Thank God for the New York Islanders giving us a fun season out of nowhere.
Matthew Schaefer saving my sports fandom. Who would have thought the 18-year-old kid from Canada is doing it for me?
Unbelievable. So with the Jets, some interesting things to get into here, including the fact that yesterday Aaron Glenn said that Brady Cook is getting all the first-team reps because both Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor are not practicing. Fields was seen off to the side yesterday doing some light running, and Tyrod Taylor was nowhere to be found. So it does appear like, at least for this week, Matt, it is going to be the start of the Brady Cook era as far as him getting his first full start and not coming into a game down 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I am partly curious to see what he looks like coming in the game from the beginning. I don't think he looked great in this most recent game against Miami, but to be fair, he was put in a really tough spot coming in down 21-0. The game was pretty much over at that point already. So, they had to throw to get back into it. He had a couple interceptions. He'll get a chance to start this game against Jacksonville, I would imagine. But unfortunately, Jake, not really an easy landing spot for him going up against a defense that's second in the NFL in interceptions. So tough task for him.
Will Brady Cook? That is what every Jet fan was saying before we saw him play against the Miami Dolphins. And I'll say this, Matt, I don't know how you felt. I don't think he was as bad as what the box score indicated. They had at least 5 drops for him. I'm not saying he was good by any means, but I do think there's a chance he's at least a little better with a full week of practice.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a chance that he can improve. Some things that bothered me, not as much as the interceptions, but the fumbled snaps I thought was a bit of an issue, right? Like the 2 fumbles, the 2 interceptions. The second interception, he was trying to score down big late, like that's fine. The one before halftime frustrated me a little bit because you got to get points there and you're getting the ball back to start the second half. So that one bothered me, but I just didn't have very high expectations to begin with for a UDFA who was just recently elevated from quarterback 3 to quarterback 2 to come in and save the day. But you're right. A full week of practice, he'll get the reps with the ones. Hopefully some of the nerves are shaken out going into this game. And I do think he could look better than what we saw on Sunday.
Your thoughts on Adrien Martinez being re-signed to the practice squad? He's wearing the number 1, so we might have a real preseason feel to this game if the two quarterbacks are Cook and Martinez.
Yeah, is it December or August? I feel like we're watching August Jets football with those two. Maybe, Cook gets a half, Martinez gets a half to really fill that one in. Sauce's body's not even cold yet, and we were giving away his number. I get it. That's obviously tongue in cheek, but maybe Adrien Martinez backup quarterback this week. We'll see how healthy Justin Fields is with that knee.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe to Matt's channel at Matt O'Leary. And why? A reminder, if you don't already know, that we podcast the full show every day on either Apple or Spotify. So just search Jake Asman Show wherever you get your podcast. Justin Fields is a guy that is under contract for next year. I think many of us thought that when the Jets benched him, there was a chance we wouldn't see him again. However, on his podcast yesterday, Brian Costello of the New York Post made the case why we have not seen the last of Justin Fields. I'm going to play the clip, Matt, and then I want your reaction to this wild Jet theory.
Do you think the Jets have the appetite to let Brady Cook play the rest of the season to see what they potentially could have in a Brady Cook?
No, I think there's no shot that that would be the case. I think they have a pretty good. I mean, I don't mean to insult Brady Cook, but I think they have a pretty good feel of what Brady Cook is right now. And yeah, can he develop? Yeah, I think the question is do you want to keep him around as a developmental quarterback? But no, they're still trying to win games, and they still have to answer to, Aaron Glenn has to answer to 52 other guys if he does that. So I think they'll play. Whoever the healthiest, if Tyrod is healthy or Fields are healthy, I think they'll play.
So you think Justin Fields could still potentially play for the Jets the rest of the season?
I have no doubt we're going to see Justin Fields again at some point.
Really? Because I got the sense.
Because this is the Jets. This is the Jets. And they always come back.
That is a good point.
They always play. Mark Sanchez was done in 2012, and then he started the last game. Zach Wilson was done, and then he came back. And then he came back again. So... this is the Jets. The quarterbacks never really die. So I have no doubt we'll see Fields again at some point.
Okay, so because it's the Jets and quarterbacks never really die, Brian Costello is saying that we will see Justin Fields again start for the team. You buying that, Matt O'Leary?
Throw in Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2016 too. He was benched and came in and started the last game against Buffalo. For some reason, I was at that game. I don't know why. Just a dumb college kid who wanted to see some football. But it's a fair point, right? It feels very similar to Zach Wilson in 2023 when you had him weary of coming back into playing and starting. You kind of had that a little bit with Justin Fields with his comments about whether or not he'd be interested in coming in some certain packages. And he was talking about the soft tissue injury, and then when you know it, a knee injury pops up, and he was inactive. So we'll see if he's healthy this week, like I said earlier. But it would not shock me to see Justin Fields, like Brian said. These quarterbacks just never seem to go away.
I mean, if Fields has to come in and play again, at that point, why bother? That'd be my big thing. Just play Brady Cook, and if he doesn't play well and you lose, fine, you'll get a better draft pick out of it. Playing Fields and allowing him to have the Geno Smith perfect passer type of game to ruin your draft positioning at the end here, it's just not worth it. Don't even take the risk.
No, I'm with you on that. And I think in a perfect world, you kind of just ride it out with Brady Cook and whatever happens sort of a thing. But, even Brady was banged up in that game. They were talking about is Stone Smart going to have to come in and complete passes here at the end of that Miami game. So it wouldn't shock me if there's a week where he can't go and they suddenly turn it back to Justin Fields. It would be very Jets. That's all I'll say.
Hopefully Brady Cook plays competently enough in this game on Sunday, Matt, so then they're comfortable allowing him to then start the following week. Because honestly, who knows how long Tyrod's out? Maybe they'd go back to Tyrod as soon as he was healthy. But he's a 36-year-old, soon to be 37, dealing with a groin injury. We might have seen the last of Tyrod just based on his body. Fields, I guess he could actually play. And if he's medically cleared, he'd be forced to play because Then the Jets could go after the $10 million they owe him for next year. So he'd have to play. I just hope Cook plays well enough Sunday, even if they lose, and they probably will as 12.5-point underdogs, according to FanDuel. He plays well enough so they can then roll Brady Cook at least into that Saints game.
Yeah, and I think you're trying to see if Brady Cook can be your backup quarterback. I think that's best case scenario. I hope he plays well enough to earn that role. I don't think 4 games of Brady Cook is going to stop you from aggressively going after a quarterback this offseason, whether it's a veteran or a trade or a rookie. But it would be pretty nice, even if it would be a big win if a UDFA quarterback turns into your QB2. But to me, he's got to show more than what he did against Miami. And again, fully admitting that it was a tough spot for him to come into. The drop, 6 of them certainly didn't help. So more to see with Brady Cook down the stretch.
We're presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. And Matt, I just referenced the line. 12.5-point underdogs are the New York Jets. Are you expecting a bloodbath Sunday, or do you think the Jets could be competitive in this game? How does the result against Miami, where they were blown out for the first time in a while, impact your assessment on what we're going to get Sunday?
And maybe I'm just being a prisoner of the moment, but I don't think I'm taking the Jets even with the big point spread there at 12.5. I just think, again, I talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. They're really good at creating turnovers. They're also really good against the run, so I don't think you're going to see a monster Breece Hall game either. And I just wonder how the Jets are going to score points in this game. So even if they hold Jacksonville to 20 or 24 points, that still might be enough for them to cover that big number. So unfortunately, I don't think this one's going to be all that competitive game.
Again, the only the only path that I see, like the Jets having a shot here, is if they do something they haven't done all year, Matt. They're going to have to come up with multiple turnovers in a game. Like, that's how you win it when you're this big of an underdog. Like, you dominate the turnover battle. And again, for those who have been living under a rock, the New York Jets have 1 takeaway as a defense the entire season and 0 interceptions. So I just don't see it. I think the Jets maybe hang around for a half, but ultimately the Jaguars, as long as they don't beat themselves, they'll pull away in the second half and cover that number.
Yeah, and like I just don't see a world where that's possible for them to get a turnover. And not taking a shot at you, I'm just saying, like, in general, we haven't seen it. So like, right. I go into it and say, like, yeah, this is the week they're going to get the 2 interceptions against Trevor Lawrence. And I don't even know if Jacksonville's that good, but I know they're winning the AFC South right now. But it's just, I think when you're starting a quarterback like Brady Cook, when you're going up against a defense that creates turnovers, when you're a defense in itself that can't tackle, I think Travis Etienne could have a huge game, like we saw the Miami Dolphins, whichever running back they put out there was putting up yardage. Bijan Robinson had a big day against them. The defense is really struggling to tackle over the last few weeks. I thought they were turning that around, but that's been an issue again. It's just a lot going against the Jets in this game against Jacksonville.
Are you at a point where you're rooting for losses? Because I've now shifted into the mode of I really don't want to see another win. Every win could potentially make it more expensive and even harder to get a quarterback in the first round this year. Where are you at in terms of the discourse surrounding winning versus losing this time of year?
I'm kind of, I guess, neutral on it. I'm not going to be going like ballistic if they win the game and talk about how it's this great, thing and that they upset the Jacksonville Jaguars, the whole thing. At the same time, if they lose, I think that's probably the better result for them at this point. It's going to be hard for me on Sunday to be, rooting against them to win. So I'm kind of just going to go into the game numb, and whatever happens, happens. And, like I've been saying here, I think with just how they looked against Miami and how the offense is playing right now, like you look at their remaining schedule, Jacksonville's tough for them. You have Buffalo, you have New England, who are fighting for playoff positioning. The only other game that I think is winnable is against New Orleans, but Tyler Shuck has played well, and they're a little spunky. So you look at that one, that game is going to have some major impact on draft order. So if the Jets lose out at this point, it is probably better for them for that draft positioning. We've reached a point in a season where you're 3-10. Right, it's a little different than rooting for losses in October when you're now this far into the season. So I completely understand why your opinion has shifted on that.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. First of 2 shows today, and we have a mega raffle prize combining the entries across both shows. You want a signed football by Broadway Joe Namath? Now is the time, baby. Gift the membership or send in a $5 super chat or higher to qualify. We'll combine the entries from this show and the second show later today with Dylan Terraman. If you don't win, that's okay. You're entered in the weekly raffle for a signed Darrelle Revis football, signed Wayne Corbett jersey, and a signed photo by LaDainian Tomlinson scoring a touchdown against the Patriots in the 2010 playoffs. So make sure you enter for your chance to win the Broadway Joe Namath football that will raffle away at the end of our second stream this afternoon. Matt, I want to talk about the Jets defense and specifically the defensive coordinator. Based on what you have seen all season, specifically that game Sunday against Miami, where are you at with Steve Wilks? Do you think that Aaron Glenn will make a change to his defensive coordinator when the season is over?
I think he needs to. I don't think Steve Wilks has been good enough, and I get it on the defensive side of the ball. They need a lot of change there personnel wise, but I just think the scheme is dated, is boring. It's not successful. And if they go the entire year without having an interception, like someone has to be held accountable for that. It's not good enough. I understand when you hire Chris Banjo, who is a first-time special teams coordinator, first-time NFL offensive coordinator in Tanner Engstrand, that you wanted some experience. And Steve Wilks has been around in the league a long time, has had the head coaching experience, the whole thing. I get the logic of it, but it's just been a disaster this year. And, he's bounced around the league. I think there's a reason behind it. So I definitely think this is the offseason where you have to make a change at defensive coordinator.
I just don't see how you could justify bringing him back when, as you said, this is historic levels of ineptitude, not having an interception this late in the year. It's never happened before.
No, it's literally, they're setting records, and like guys have been underachieving too. Like they gave Jamie Sherwood a big contract. He's massively underachieved. Jermaine Johnson, I know, is coming off an injury, but he's had a very quiet year. Will McDonald's been really streaky. He's had weeks where he's had multiple sacks, and then he's gone quiet for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And, I get it. They're not up big in a lot of these games, and it's hard to get sacks when you're chasing games. But I think you make a case that, some of their guys who you thought are building block pieces haven't played well. And I think that in and of itself is enough to try to get a new voice in here.
Comments, questions, super chats, they cut the line. Let me shout out our king. He's the first to enter the raffle by gifting 5 channel memberships.
Who wanna fly with them Jets?
King Lowski, hit the Lowski. 5 raffle tickets for our king. Matt, I want to get to the super chat from Lou B, who says the Joe Burrow comments, very interesting. For those who missed it, here's a little sample of what Joe Burrow was saying yesterday at the podium. Ari Mirov summed it up by saying his presser felt very reflective, at times a bit dark. Quote, "If I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it. I've been through a lot. It's not fun. Then what am I doing it for? Later on, there's just a lot of things going on right now." So that's causing people to speculate about Burrow's future with the Bengals. Your reaction to the Jet fans out there saying, go call the Bengals and ask about Joe Burrow?
I would love Joe Burrow on this team. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I think he's easily a top 5 quarterback in the NFL when he's healthy. But I don't know why he would, if he's talking about dark times in Cincinnati, why is he going to waive his no trade clause to come to the Jets, who haven't exactly had bright and shiny times? So there's only so many teams in the league that need quarterbacks, and usually the teams that need quarterbacks aren't very good. So his choices of if he wants out of Cincinnati might not be all that much, but I think it's a long shot and a pipe dream. I don't think it's super realistic that Joe Burrow starting games for the Jets next year.
I think if you're the Jets, you call, because
Sure.
Why not? But there's so many factors that would prevent me from thinking there's any chance he actually would waive his no trade to being a Jet. 1, Cincinnati would have to trade him, which I still don't think they'll do it. 2, he's going to lead the Bengals and say, yep, let me go play on the MetLife playing surface and let me go play for Woody Johnson. Like, that's going to be my plan for success, because that's just worked out brilliantly for every other quarterback that has tried that. I can't picture it. So I know Jet fans get excited about this, but I don't see it. I'm not saying you don't make the call. The one thing the Jets could sell Burrow on is, hey, we have a good offensive line for you, but that's really about it. Like, I just don't think that's enough to get Joe Burrow to say, yep, I'm going to leave Cincinnati, where I have these 2 unbelievable receivers. I basically forced ownership to pay both, now I'm going to leave and go play for the Jets. I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah, the only positive caveat is that this would be the best offensive line he's ever played with in the NFL. And, I love Garrett Wilson. We all do. He's a great receiver, but you can't compare him to Jamar Chase. And they also have T. Higgins. And, I know they haven't had a ton of success since going back to that Super Bowl in 2021, but, they have a high-powered offense and the Jets don't. They have some, pieces, obviously, but I think it'd be a very hard sell to try to get him to come to the Jets.
I just, again, make the call. Why not? If he didn't have a no trade, maybe it's actually easier to do this because then you just, pick whip the Bengals with just an offer they can't refuse. But the no trade, I think, complicates everything. I can't picture him being willing to waive the no trade.
No, yeah, me either. And that's the tough part of it. He could kind of control where he ends up with that no trade. But like I said earlier, the teams that need quarterbacks, they aren't usually very good football teams. So he's not going to have a ton of choices. It's either stay in Cincinnati or go to another team that has issues. But again, just feels like a hard sell for the Jets.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to get to the Jets and their quarterback situation via the draft in a moment. I want to get Matt's thoughts on the latest ESPN mock, but this one's from Welcome to Something. And Welcome to Something, I want to apologize. I just checked the show yesterday. I missed your name on the raffle wheel, so I'm putting you in for this raffle today for the Namath Ball and giving you an extra 2 entries because that is my bad, Mr. Welcome to Something. But you're in the raffle now, and he writes in, could we trade Fields in the offseason for anything? And to that, I simply say I doubt it unless the Jets eat a significant portion of the salary. Then maybe you could get a day 3 pick. But I just don't think the value for Fields is going to warrant you getting anything unless you're basically paying the opposing team to take him in exchange for like a late round pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you'd have to eat a big portion of the salary. And I don't know if the Jets would be willing to do that or not. Maybe. But I think the most likely outcome is a post June 1 cut for Justin Fields, and they spread the money over 2 years.
By the way, for what it's worth, Get Up is discussing Joe Burrow right now, his future. He's under contract through 2029. So, look, it is a talking point, and we know the Jets have all these picks. But, again, he's got the full no trade, which I think complicates it. I don't know if Joe Burrow is dying to play for Woody Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and the Jets when the Jets would be coming off a 3-win season, and he's going to look at their team and think they're not just a Joe Burrow away from going to a contender. But it is a conversation I know you're going to have on your channel, and we're going to be batting around a lot over the next few months.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And like I've been saying, I love Joe Burrow, but I think you just brought up a really good point. I don't think they're only a Joe Burrow away. They still need to add more to this roster and on the defensive side of the ball too. So when you give up, you're going to have to give up a ton of picks to get him. And I just worry if, they bring him in and the roster's still not good enough, they're kind of going to be stuck in no man's land.
Let's talk draft. ESPN's latest mock draft, Matt, had the Jets and the Giants making a deal. Now, these situations are based off of the current draft order. So right now, the Jets are at pick 7 and the Giants own the first pick. But in ESPN's latest mock, the Jets send both of their first-round picks, which is pick 7 and then the Colts pick right now, which, by the way, is at pick 18 and maybe, despite Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement, is going to be even better, and a day 2 pick. So let's say it's either the Jets' second-round pick or the Cowboys' second. Either way, that's the only day 2 picks they own because they don't have a third-rounder. Thank you, Hassan Reddick and Joe Douglas, for that one. So the deal, again, would be 7, 18, one of their second-rounders to move up from 7 to 1, and then with that number 1 pick, the New York Jets select quarterback Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana, who is Field Yates' number 1 quarterback on his big board. If this played out, Matt O'Leary, your reaction on the Talking Jets live stream with Green Bean and Ryan would be what?
I'd be excited for it. I like Fernando Mendoza a lot. I know we've kind of batted around whether or not he's worth it to move up for. I think he's by far the best quarterback in this draft. I think he's a good, not elite or generational, which is a word that gets tossed around way too much, but I think he's a very good prospect. And I think there's a fair trade package that is laid out, right? Like your first round pick would be the quarterback at the number 1 pick. And yeah, you'd have to give up a second in this scenario, but you still have a second round pick where, maybe you could still add a wide receiver or a linebacker or safety or whatever you feel is is best for your roster at that point. So I'm comfortable with it as long as, we're not talking about like trading 3 first-round picks to go up and get the quarterback. I think I'm pretty much in lockstep that it's something the Jets should really strongly consider doing.
I completely agree with you, Matt, because again, if you're the Jets and you have all these extra picks, the whole purpose, I believe, of these picks is to be able to use some of them to get a quarterback if that's what it would take. And to me, there's no reason why, even after you would do this hypothetical trade, you still wouldn't have enough resources left over to surround Fernando Mendoza with what he would need to have a chance to be successful. Again, you still would have a second-round pick this year, and then you'd have your 3 number 1 picks and the second-round pick in 2027. If that's not enough, combined with the cap space they have this offseason and the following offseason, then Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn aren't good enough at their jobs because that's plenty of resources to have enough to build a winning team around Fernando Mendoza.
And just to add on to that too, and something that I've talked about a lot, is they have 1 million 6th-round picks. And I think they should be using those to trade for, not all, but some of them to trade for already established NFL players like we saw them do with Harrison Phillips and Briggs and Brownlee. And, they had a lot of success with that. I think this offseason there's going to be guys who, might be good players, but their teams just can't afford them with the cap. And you can build out your depth that way on the roster. So in addition to the multitude of picks you have, the cap space that you have, I think you could also get creative with your day 3 picks to get NFL talent in here too.
I've maintained that the Colts pick, I think, is the key to any trade up, because you look at the teams that also need quarterbacks. Cleveland is one of them if they're not sold on Shedeur Sanders. And you look at Sanders, and he's been up and down so far, but let's say for the sake of the conversation, Cleveland's in the market for another quarterback. They own the Jags pick. So Cleveland could package their own pick and the Jags pick. And look, if the Jaguars win that division, and the Jets losing to them Sunday, by the way, would help that scenario play out. The Jaguars pick is automatically pick 19 or above based on how they finish in the postseason. And I bring that up because the Jets being able to combine, let's say, pick 4 or pick 5 where they finish with the Colts pick, let's say it falls between 13 and 16. That to me is better than Cleveland, even if Cleveland is packaging, let's say, pick 3 or pick 4 and then a pick somewhere in the 20s to move up. Like the Jets, I think, are armed with just more ammunition than really any team if they're willing to include that Colts pick and say one of their 2 second-rounders they have this year. No other team has more premium resources than the Jets in a trade-up scenario.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think we have to be rooting for Jacksonville pretty hard to win that division and hopefully go on a run so that pick goes deeper and deeper into the 20s. And with the Jets at their own pick right now, it's at 7. But there's, a chance for, the Jets play New Orleans. They have the same record. If New Orleans wins, that the Jets are going to move up. Washington and the Giants play. The Raiders, I believe play the Giants and also Tennessee. I think there's a Tennessee New Orleans game in there. So there's going to be a lot of movement towards the top of the draft. So the Jets are 7 right now. If they lose out, I think they can get up closer towards the top 3. And that would put them in a position to, I think, move up and not have to severely overpay to do so to the number 1 spot.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. This one is from Bino, who says, in fairness, Jamar Chase has had solid QB play. Garrett Wilson, not so much. Do we even know what GW can be? Look, I think Garrett Wilson has proven to be a star. So to me, like, having Garrett would be appealing for a guy like Burrow, but I don't think that would be enough for Joe Burrow to want to waive his no trade, just having Garrett Wilson and some of the other pieces the Jets do have.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson is awesome, and I think he could put up some big numbers with Joe Burrow. But, you look at Jamar Chase's start to the NFL, to his NFL career. I mean, he had a 1,700-yard and 17 touchdown season. And again, I love Garrett Wilson, but he's never come anywhere close to that. Quarterback play clearly has a major factor in that. Can he be like a 12 to 1,300-yard guy and maybe close to 10 touchdowns? I would say yes. And that's a bona fide number 1 for sure. But I don't know if that puts him in like that top 2 or 3 tier that obviously Jamar Chase is in.
So this comment from Jay Cuddy, I'm going to read because I really don't understand. He goes, funny how Jake's saying we have all these holes, but I seem to recall we had a top 10 DT and CB going into the season. Yeah, they traded them. Remember? They started 1-7 and traded Sauce and Quinnen. So thus, they don't have those top 10 players at their respective positions anymore. And again, a big issue with the Jets is that they were 1-7 in the first place at the trade deadline. I don't think they ever should have been that bad, but
No.
you had a first-year coach who was really going through it at the beginning of the year, and you had a defensive coordinator who, while the process was right to hire him, someone with previous head coaching experience for Aaron Glenn's staff, I think this defense grossly underachieved. I don't think the talent coming into the year warranted the Jets to be the first team in NFL history to not have an interception, 14 games into a season. It's insane.
No, it really is insane just how bad they've been at creating turnovers on defense. And I don't really get that comment. Like, yeah, they did have those guys. They're no longer here, thus creating the holes that they have on the roster.
And I think the problem is, too, when they had Sauce and Quinnen, they weren't playing at an elite level. And I think part of that's coaching, too. My big concern with Wilkes and Glenn, for that matter, what players on defense have really improved? If anything, we've only seen regression. Like maybe Jawan Briggs is the one guy that we've seen like real improvement from based on where he was previously as a player. Maybe you could argue Brandon Stevens, who's been a little up and down. He certainly has been better after a brutal start. But there's just not enough there. Like Will McDonald, right? Aaron Glenn over the summer talking about how he's going to break out because of coaching. He's been really, really disappointing. He had the one outlier game against Cleveland, and that's really been it for McDonald. Jermaine, I'll give a slight pass to coming off the Achilles. But, again, the defense to me, once upon a time was a strength not that long ago. It's been terrible.
Yeah, I would say the only guys you mentioned two, I would add in one more, would be Jarvis Brownlee, I think, as well. But that's not enough, to your point. It's not. And when some of your guys like Jermaine, who I know is coming off an injury, Will McDonald, Jamie Sherwood, they're underachieving. It's not a great sign for this defensive coordinator.
Leon says if the Jets had lost to Atlanta, they'd be picking second ahead of Vegas. Yeah, that's why they really can't win any more games. They got to finish 3-14, and it is what it is. But I'm not going to be upset that they won the Atlanta game because, I never thought the Jets were going to finish 2-15. But now with Brady Cook playing, I think there's a real path to actually finishing 3-15. Or 3-14, excuse me. So that's what I am personally rooting for at this point because I just don't see the value in any late season win at this point. It just makes it harder and costs more to move up and get a quarterback, whether it's Mendoza or Moore, whoever it ends up being.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point when they were playing Atlanta and, Cleveland, their wins over those two teams, we still had a lot of questions about this coaching staff. And, I don't know, if they lost both those games and went 1-16 on the year, I don't think we're feeling great about Aaron Glenn. And if they go 3-14, are you going to say, does those two wins really matter? But the context of the season changed when you're now starting a UDFA quarterback for, the final 4 games and playing a majority of the Miami games. So the last 5 games of the season being played in majority by a UDFA quarterback really changes things.
Well said. Let's get to some calls now, shall we? Again, Joe Namath Signed Football is the raffle prize today. Make sure you enter by the end of the show, and you have the second stream later today as well for your chance to win. If you don't win, for those who missed a weekly raffle on Tuesday, we have a new set of prizes for this upcoming week. Our top prize in raffle 53 is a signed football by the great Darrelle Revis. Additionally, with our list of prizes, we have a signed Wayne Cravett jersey and a signed LaDainian Tomlinson 8x10 authenticated Jets photo. With that, we get to your calls and we say hello to Taylor from Connecticut, who's first today. What's up, Taylor? Taylor, we can't hear you. Could be the AirPods. I'm not sure. Can't hear you. Reset the StreamYard, Taylor. We'll come back to you. Joe the Jet is next. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Jake. Hey, Matt. Sorry if I look like crap. I'm a little bit under the weather today. And
I feel you. I've been sick all week, Joe.
Oh my God, this weather has been terrible, especially with the cold weather and everything. So while I was laying sick in bed yesterday, I was going through draft scenarios and stuff with strength of schedule. I think whoever gets the number 1 pick, I think everyone knows it is imperative that the Titans or Giants get the number 1 overall pick over the Raiders. So I've been going through scenarios on how. Let's just say the Titans and Giants get that settled first overall pick. So I looked at the Giants' remaining schedule. I think they're going to win a game, honestly. They got the Commanders, they have the Vikings, they have the Raiders, of course, And then I forgot who they have the final week. I think it was Eagles, or I think it's Eagles
Dallas.
or Dallas. There's Dallas. Yeah. Okay. I knew it was a division game. And then you have the Raiders, who have a tougher schedule, if I remember correctly. And then the Titans also have a tougher schedule. So if the Titans lose out and the Raiders lose out, here's the fun thing. So the Saints have to beat us. So they get their record is now 3-10. So if the Saints beat us, their record goes up to 4-10. So let's just say the Saints beat the Titans. The Titans' strength of schedule lowers. So if the Titans lose out, they get the number 1 pick despite the Raiders losing out, because the Saints are 5 and whatever at that point, and the Titans' strength of schedule tanks, and with the Titans' strength of schedule tanking, they jump the Raiders despite both teams losing out. So it's crazy how much time I had on my hands just to figure that out. But yeah, I think if the Titans get the number 1 pick, or the Giants, heck, I even heard a possibility of the Commies getting the first overall pick. We have a shot at trading up for that said pick. But if it's the Raiders or Browns, I don't think that pick is going to be available. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Joe, it could be tough. Again, I think the easiest path for the Jets to make a deal is with a team that clearly doesn't need quarterback. The one thing with the Browns is maybe there's a chance they would bypass quarterback if the new regime that comes in, if it's not Stefanski, actually likes Shedeur Sanders. I'm not sure. But you look at the top of the order, Tennessee, easily available to do a trade with, you would think. The Saints, a maybe. Washington, I think definitely. So those are some of the teams you're looking at. Giants, obviously, although, well, I don't think the Giant thing would preclude a deal. Maybe there is that chance it's a little harder to get something done, but I'm not necessarily buying that completely. But, I mean, look, the best case scenario for the Jets is obviously they don't have to trade anything and they can just get a quarterback. But if that's not realistic, Matt, you want a team clearly like a Tennessee Titans or the Commanders or the Giants, teams that obviously have their quarterback of the future in place. You want them picking in front of you so you can make a deal.
Yeah, I think, you don't want Vegas to end up with the number 1 pick. I think they would definitely take the quarterback. And I think if Cleveland gets the number 1 pick, that means that Shedeur Sanders didn't do enough to prove that he's the guy. So realistically, we're rooting for either the Giants or Tennessee as teams to get up there. I guess, theoretically, Washington could too if they lose out. But I think, best case scenario, like I said, is you want one of these teams who has a quarterback so that, they're not tempted to take Fernando Mendoza 1 overall and would be okay with trading down.
Another big thing for the Jets is let's hope that Dante Moore definitively declares. I think he's going to, by the way. Again, every mock you see has him going in the top 5. He'd be making a huge mistake if he goes back to school when you're a projected top 5 pick.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, look at Drew Aller, right? Like, he decided to go back to school. He gets hurt, and his draft stock completely tanked because of it. So, especially if you're projected in the top 5, which Dante Moore is, then he probably should come out.
I mean, again, why wouldn't you come out if you're going to make over $50 million guaranteed and and you go back to school, you get hurt, God forbid, like Drew Aller did, or you just have a down year like Garrett Nussmeier or Kate Klubnik did. Like, it's a huge risk to stay in school when you're guaranteed to seemingly go at the bare minimum in the top 10.
Yeah, and the everyone says the NIL money, but that's a couple $1 million versus $50 million guaranteed if you're going up that high, which I think we all agree that he would. So seems like a no-brainer. His offensive coordinator left too at Oregon too, so I think that's another reason for him to leave.
Abdul Jacob says, I think you guys are underselling how Joe Burrow would take over New York. That could be an attractive part of it. I just don't know if that's enough to get a guy to waive his no trade to go to a team that's going to be coming off like a 3-win season, 4-win season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is. And for the Jets, I think you're obviously hoping that that's enough of a selling point. But again, with them not having a winning record in 10 years and not making the playoffs in 15 years, I wonder if New York loses its luster a little bit to go to the Jets. Not that the Giants have been much better, but I think, teams around the league view the Giants a little bit differently, or guys in the league view the Giants a little bit differently than the Jets at this point even.
Let's get to some more calls, shall we? Let's say hello to Taylor from Connecticut. Do we hear you, Taylor?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
the old Mad Max. This is going to be a little bit of a negative call, if you guys don't mind. I mean, it was cool winning the Falcons game, and at the time, you know, we were all thinking, you know, all right, Glenn, you're starting to turn the corner. But then after the Dolphins game, it's like you clearly aren't. And if I like, that's the biggest question right now is Glenn. I don't know if he's got it. And let me paint a hypothetical for you guys. I could totally see in Jets fashion, they're going to win one of these games. I would guess it's the Saints game because it's the most meaningless, but they're going to win one of these games and they're going to be picking 8 to 10. Because if you look at that draft order, and if you watched DT's video yesterday breaking down all the different, you know, the schedules for the top 10 teams remaining, I could see, and if they end up behind Arizona and Atlanta, that's a huge, huge issue because the Rams might be in play to take a quarterback with that pick. Arizona's probably looking for a quarterback, and then you're not even looking at even Dante Moore. And I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that the Raiders are going to get the number 1 pick. I don't think they have a chance in any of these games. And I could see them, you know, Brady running the show over there. I could see them just taking Mendoza right off rip because if you ask me, that's who Mendoza kind of reminds me of Tom, the way he plays. You know, he's just a big, tall, skinny white guy who is smart and makes the crazy throws when he needs them, you know. But also, even worse in a negative way, I could totally see Glenn not firing Wilkes. He's a, you know, senior to Glenn and a respected guy. And he backtracked what he said on Sunday in the post game on Monday when he says, oh, you know, Dan Campbell believed in me after we had a first bad season and I believe in Wilkes. So I feel like that would really take the wind out of our sails. And I just right now, all I can see is another 2 years of misery before Glenn gets fired. And we're right back at square one. So.
Well, I mean, Taylor, good call, man. And look, you said you were going to be negative, but I'll tell you what, if you think about it, until proven otherwise, why would we not look at the state of the Jets and feel like we have the 4th best head coach in our own division, and we're going to have the 4th best quarterback in our own division going into next year? Now, obviously, if they get Mendoza or Dante Moore and they're awesome, that could change the conversation quickly. But again, Aaron Glenn hasn't proven anything yet. And we just watched him go out there against a division opponent in the Miami Dolphins and get blown out. And like, if you can't beat this version of the Dolphins this year, when are you going to beat them? And we have no idea who the quarterback for the Jets is going to be next year. So like, if you don't have the coach and quarterback figured out, like, it's tough to have a whole lot of faith that this is going to magically be flipped and turned around in a year.
Yeah, that's the tough part of this is there's question marks still with the coach. There's things that Aaron Glenn has done that I've liked, and I'm obviously rooting for Aaron Glenn to be the guy, but he hasn't definitively proved that he is or isn't yet. So it's an unknown at best. And, you know, with a rookie, there's usually some struggles, but like you said, if he comes in and is awesome right away, that changes things. But head coach and quarterback, 2 most important positions for a team to have in order to be successful.
It's tough. I mean, again, you could see teams turning around year over year. It happens a lot. It just seemingly never happens for the Jets, which is part of the problem these last 15 years. Tyrone Garcia is in our Broadway Joe Namath signed football raffle for 2. I would not be surprised if Brady Cook plays well. Time to cut ties with Fields and Tyrod. Let Martinez and Cook finish. So I don't think they would get rid of Tyrod, but again, it wouldn't shock me if they want to do everything in their power to avoid going to Justin Fields, because the whole thing is kind of fishy that he just all of a sudden popped up with knee soreness after he wasn't playing for 2 straight weeks. Like, I don't know. I think they would like to avoid going to Fields if possible. But as Brian Costello said at the beginning of the show when we played that video, like, every time we think a Jet quarterback is done, dead, we'll never see him again, they always find a way to get back into a game. So I wouldn't rule it out.
No, you can't rule it out. I said it at the beginning of the show. It feels very similar to 2023 with Zach Wilson and the Jets, and this Justin Fields thing is very similar to that. I don't particularly think that Martinez is going to be the answer either at quarterback, but we were said it earlier too. It's going to have a real preseason vibe, I think, the last month of the year.
Adrien Martinez, if he has to start a game for the Jets this year, goodness.
God help us.
Oregon Jets writes in, the two players, Aaron Glenn specifically mentioned how coaching would dramatically increase their production. Fields and McDonald have had the worst seasons of their career. I mean, it's tough to argue with that, right? As bad as Justin Fields was, he was never this bad with the Bears, never this bad last year with the Steelers. And that does give me some concern, again, with the entirety of this coaching staff now overseeing the development of a rookie.
Yeah, it is completely a fair concern. And like I said, they're an unknown. So it is year one for this staff. I think you got to give it a little bit of time, but you need to see drastic improvement in year two. That's a given.
Oregon Jets, firing Glenn is the only realistic solution that can improve this team. If they're just not going to fire him, though, it's like he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not. And like I said, I don't think we could definitively say that he isn't the guy after this year. I think we have to give it more than a year with a horrendous roster and a horrendous quarterback situation. They didn't have any good options for quarterback. That's the problem. I know we don't, with how he's played, we don't like Justin Fields. And I didn't really love the signing to begin with in the first place, but I understood why they took that gamble. They were trying to see if he was going to be the next, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold late career resurgence. He isn't. And now they'll have their opportunity to draft their own guy.
More of your calls as we talk with Matt O'Leary in his weekly spot on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, get your guesses in.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
Hello, Kyle.
What's up, Kyle?
How's married life?
Good. No complaints. All good.
Wait. I think that the whole thing with the Giants is kind of overblown. Joe Shane's not going to be there. And if you're coming into a new situation and you're trying to improve the team quickly to cement your place in the organization, I don't think you get caught up in petty crosstown rivalries. I don't think that can be a thing if you're trying to build up the franchise. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's an edict from ownership, but I find it hard to believe, seeing as how they're partners in operating the stadium, that such an edict would exist. As far as Burrow goes, I think I've said before that he would have to want to force his way out. And he'd have to be adamant. He'd have to stand strong on that. I think you guys were saying there's only a few places that might be able to trade for him, right? I mean, we definitely have the capital, and I think you guys mentioned the surface and the owner as two obvious drawbacks. With the owner comes the history of the franchise. The one thing I think we're not thinking about is, he went to bat for guys like Chase and T. Higgins to get paid. So how does that leave? What does that do to them? Like, does that leave a bad taste in their mouth if they're staying there? I mean, he has to do what's best for him, but I mean, he's boys with Jamar Chase. So like that has to be a consideration at some level, right? There's got to be a part of him that wants to win there in Cincinnati with him, rather than just, but he's getting on 29. He's still in his prime, and he's had a lot of injuries. But I mean, there's two ways to look at this: the Jets' history, their ownership, and alienating his current teammates that he wanted to stay there to win. Those are the minuses. However, that OL, Mason Taylor, Garrett Wilson, if they retain Brees, that offense, and again, assuming they would make ads with the $100 million and some of the draft picks that are left over, that offense could be turnkey. So I don't think it's without appeal, but it is still a long shot because you have to come to the trade compensation. The Cincinnati regime has to be willing to do it, and basically Burrow has to force them to be willing to do it. Your thoughts on that?
Back ahead.
Yeah, I think for me, I like the point that you brought up with him and Jamar Chase. They are obviously very close. They played together in college. He really wanted them to draft him. And in that quarterback show on Netflix, like they're always hanging out and like their families are very close. And I personally find it hard to believe, even if how things have gone in Cleveland, for him to just give up on that and say, you know what, I want out after all this. And I don't know if the New York draw is enough of an appeal for him to give up on that. That's really my only thing with it.
Right. And also proximity to it. I mean, he's basically from there, right?
Yeah.
That could be another factor. You got to ask. And I think we all know that it's a long shot, but it is quite an intriguing long shot. I appreciate your time, guys.
Hey, Kyle, appreciate it. You got to ask, and I'm willing to make the call, put together a trade package. I'd be willing to trade 3 ones and then some. I just don't picture Joe Burrow waiving his no trade to be a Jet. I don't know. This to me is a lot different than when we pictured Rodgers wanting to play for the Jets because we felt like the team was good enough to win with competent quarterback play. They're not just a quarterback away from being able to win right now. They're not.
No, they really aren't. They definitely need more on this roster. And I know there's maybe a wrong way to look at it, but with his injury concern and the Jets' unfortunate injury luck, it wouldn't surprise me if they made a move like that and he unfortunately continued to be injured, right? Like it's always seems to be something with this team. And that's, I think, a underrated factor is his injury history and his age.
Matt L. Shout out to Matt. He just gifted the channel 5 channel membership.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
If you got a gifted membership from Matt, make sure you thank him. Matt enters the Namath Sign football raffle at the end of our second show today with 5 raffle tickets. Austrian Jet fan wants to know who Matt O'Leary's wish list for the bridge/veteran QB option is for 2026.
There's not really a lot of good ones. I kind of wish Jameis Winston was a free agent. That would be towards the top of my list, but Gardner Minshew or Marcus Mariota is probably your best free agent options available. I know Mac Jones has been talked about a lot, but would San Francisco really trade him with the injuries that Brock Purdy has dealt with? I think they need him there in San Francisco. So I think you're looking at, like I said, a Minshew or a Marcus Mariota type.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, it sucks that all the names people keep mentioning, people don't realize that they're under contract for another year. Like Jameis would be perfect. Jacoby Brissett would be perfect.
Another one.
Both under contract. Mac Jones is under contract. Jonathan Vilma, despite what he says, I'm not trading a first rounder for Mac Jones. It's just, it's not great. It's just not, the options aren't great, which is why they need to end up getting the quarterback in the first round this year. That's the path.
Yeah, and a lot of these teams too. I mean, you look around the league, they're quarterbacks who were traded up for. The Chiefs moved up for Mahomes. The Bills moved up for Allen. Lamar was a trade up. So I know it wasn't all the way up to number 1, but we've seen a lot of examples of teams getting aggressive and moving up to get their guy. And it just might have to be that for the Jets as well this year.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Eli Betts in the house. He checks in and is in the raffle for 2. It's not Jets related, but fantasy football playoffs are here for me. I need 2 starters between Abuka Addison, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Brian Thomas Jr. Any feedback is appreciated. Thanks, guys. Matt, I am terrible at fantasy football, so if you have a strong opinion on this, the floor is yours.
Yeah, unfortunately I play in 2 leagues. I had Malik Neighbors in both of my leagues, and I
had Neighbors too. That's funny.
I've been cooked since about September. I haven't been able to fight out of that. I know Abuka hasn't put up numbers in a few weeks, but I just feel if I had him, I'd be so afraid to bench him, and that it's just like this is going to be the week that it pops off. I would say Abuka, and against the Jets, I might go Abuka and Brian Thomas Jr. against this Jets defense. I know another guy who's been a little underwhelming in Brian Thomas Jr., but going up against the Jets and their lack of tackling wouldn't surprise me if he has a productive day.
MHJ is injured too. He didn't practice yesterday, so I don't know what his status is for Sunday. Gator says he's likely out this weekend, so be careful on that. Yeah, when in doubt, play the guy going up against the Jet defense. Not the worst strategy.
Yeah, that would be my approach to it. It's a tough decision, but I think those would be my two choices.
More of your outstanding calls right now on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now on the Gusbuster hotline is Doug on his bed. Hello, Douglas.
Good morning, guys. Matt, I haven't spoken to you since your wedding, so congratulations on your nuptials.
Thank you, Doug. Much appreciated.
No problem. It sucks that the only good thing about this team is the elite special teams unit that we have that is wasted on this season. I don't think they're going to fire Glenn. They shouldn't fire Glenn. But like if they did, why not? Hey, let's just hire Chris Banjo as the head coach. He seems like the best coach on the roster. But so for all the people who hate Glenn, you said this, Jake, though, you have to give him credit for hiring Chris Banjo because that was him. He picked him from the Broncos staff, and that was a great hire.
That's been his best hire, I think, for sure.
It sucks that we're always here. Last season broke me, so I don't care like as much about this season. Last season broke me as a Jets fan. So this one doesn't hurt me as much as last year. Last year definitely hurt more. Like you said it, Jake, this team just sucks. So it's disappointing how much they suck, but it doesn't like, oh my God, no one thought we were going to make the playoffs. No one thought we were winning the Super Bowl. I wish that it didn't suck as much to be a Jets fan. Like it's been 15 years since we've seen a playoff game. And you thought, man, we really got it. Great defense. And we just haven't. It's crazy. Like Connor Long has never seen the Jets make the playoffs in his entire life.
That's absurd.
And to think, because like when we were growing up, like in the 2000s, they were not this bad. They would always be competitive, and then they have those few years like 06, they made the playoffs, and they had 09, 10, they had 04. Like they were a competitive team. They weren't the laughing stock of the NFL. It just sucks.
Yeah, it was about a 14-year period where they were halfway normal, right? From 97 to 2010 or 11, they were just a regular NFL team.
And for the first for the first part of his ownership, you could say Woody Johnson was a good owner. You can't say that anymore. But it just, man, again, like I cannot say I've had a lot of success as a sports fandom life. Like I'm a Jets, Yankees at least have been good my entire life. Rangers have been a competitive team, but the Jets are like by far one. I don't think it's too much to ask to just see one Super Bowl in my lifetime, but apparently it is.
No, it's definitely tough. And I know Jake's a Yankee fan too, so don't take this the wrong way, but it's very hard for me to have sympathy for Yankee fans because they haven't had a losing season in 30 years?
Yeah. No, yeah. At least you're the Jets, Mets, Islanders, so that's definitely rough.
I'm going through it.
But like again, at least
this week especially is the worst.
As the Mets
fan, Jets Met combo has been in a while.
Like, as an Islanders fan, you guys have Schaefer, like the future's looking bright.
Sure.
Like, that's like yeah, we have all this capital. It just, man, I would like if all the other teams cease to exist, meaning the Jets win one Super Bowl, I think I would live with that. Just to see one Jet Super Bowl in my lifetime. And I love sports. I just want to see one Jet Super Bowl in my lifetime.
No, that's fair.
Doug, I don't know if you're ever going to see it.
I don't think so either, but hey, crazier things have happened, right?
I guess, I want the Jets to go 9-8 and just have a year where we get to do daily content talking about a team that won more games than they lost for a season.
It's just crazy to where we are. Like, think about like the ones that stick out the most. 2015, obviously, Kembrell Tompkins doesn't drop a football, walk-in touchdown, boom, playoffs. We would have played like an injured Bengals team who we would have killed. And then 2023, we all just Rodgers getting hurt. It's just like, man, we just can't have anything good happen to us. We really can't. And then also after 2023, like for people who love Joe Douglas, he's a big reason why the defense is the way it is. He's just give JFM away for nothing, then traded for Hassan Reddick, which you said. Now that the Eagles have our 3rd round pick, which that Hassan Reddick trade, whoop-de-doo. So it just, man, I just wish it didn't. I just hate that I have to watch football every Sunday, and it just means nothing.
Well, you got to root for losses, Doug.
Oh yeah, same place, same shit, different day.
You're watching for the wrong reasons, but there are reasons to still watch, which is unfortunately what we're accustomed to this time of year. Joe the Jet with a super chat. I have a weird feeling the Raiders beat Philly. That'd be huge because the Raiders scare me the most, Matt, as far as teams you don't want picking in front of the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders are a very good team, and they've looked just absolutely abysmal for a long time. But something's up in Philly, man. I don't know what it is, but they just do not look right. So that would be a huge upset and very helpful for the Jets.
Yep. And look, the Raiders also play the Giants, so maybe they could beat the Giants too. That could be the only other game you see on the schedule that's winnable for them. But I hope Doug is right. All right, we'll do one more call with Matt, and then I'll stay on for the rest. Bit of a shorter show. I'm doing radio today from 1 to 3, so I appreciate Matt coming on a little bit earlier. I'm in for Michael K, so make sure you guys tune in. We'll talk plenty about the Mets and the Yankees if you're a baseball fan out there, and we'll do some football talk as well on the show. Dan Orlovsky is going to be joining me today at 1:30, so I'll get his thoughts on Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, and kind of pick his brain on some of these quarterbacks from a Jet perspective. But our last call with Matt is none other than...
I'm Ricky, New York, and I love to smoke. Florida State, I really love Florida State. Jordan Travis, you know he's from Florida State. At any rate, I call into smoking debate. Florida State, I really love Florida State. At any rate, thanks for taking my call, Jake.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Ricky.
What's up, Ricky?
Not a whole lot. I'll tell you what. I'm going to call in to your post-game show on Sunday and ask me about Joe Burrow then, because I'm pretty sure that his chances of coming to the Jets are about as good as me winning the Powerball on Saturday. So Sunday, I'll be able to give you an answer. I'll let you know how that works out.
Perfect.
If you win, will you give some memberships to the community?
Hell yeah, you better believe it.
All right.
I'll tell you what, if I win the Powerball, I will give 500 memberships.
Wow.
Ooh. Very generous.
My wife's not in here to smack me for saying that, so I'll get away with it. Before I get to my Jets take, I need you to do me a favor, Jake. Can you pick a number 1 through 6?
Do I say the number out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. 3.
Okay, so you picked number 3, and Valerie is the winner of the women's T-shirt that I'm giving away. That's my raffle, my new women's shirt. I was going to have you do that on the show, but you got sick, and just man, it's been a rough week as far as scheduling anything for me. But now listen, I know that you guys necessarily wouldn't go to me for draft advice, but you guys both obviously trust Dom C. And I'm aligned with Dom C on this quarterback thing. If we don't get Mendoza, which at the moment it's not looking likely, like we could trade up, but man, I don't want to give up a whole bunch to go up for him. Like I'm okay with giving up a little bit, but like I'm not with giving up, a ridiculous amount to move up. So I've started thinking more and more of like the fallback option of, instead of using our first round pick on a quarterback, getting Darian Mensah later, who's kind of like a pre-injury Chad Pennington to me. Not the biggest arm, but a smart guy and a baller. Dom loves Mensah too. And if for some reason he didn't work out, we do have 3 firsts next year. And I know that's not the best strategy, but it's also not the worst, in my opinion. And at worst, we'd end up with a long-term backup. And I mean, let's face it, any quarterback, whether it be, Justin Fields or Joe Burrow, they're all just one play away from being injured. So a backup's important. So like I said, that would be my strategy, like the fallback option. And at worst, you come out with a really good backup for the foreseeable future.
I don't hate that approach. Mensah is a popular name as like a day 2 guy. I like Mayava from USC. I think that would be another guy who I think you could put into that conversation. if the trade up's not there, like there's obviously a world where the Raiders get the number 1 pick and they just are comfortable taking a quarterback. The Jets just might be, shit out of luck, for lack of a better term, and just kind of forced to take an alternate route. And I don't think drafting someone on day 2 necessarily stops you from taking a first-round quarterback next year. So if that's the pivot, that might be their only option really at that point.
Right. I mean, and maybe Mensa's not like the most popular name right now, but I'll tell you what, we add, somebody competent, whether it's a Denzel Boston, somebody like that this year to Garrett, use one of those first next year on Jeremiah. And I'll tell you what, like a trio like that could make your average quarterback look very, very good.
No, absolutely. No, I'm with you on that.
Right on. Well, that's about all I got right now. I'm a football addict, so I've got like 3 hours of Skylar Bell tape to watch today as I'm doing my receiver research. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off.
Is there a Skylar Bell and a Drake Bell?
It's Chris Bell. You're thinking.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Chris Bell. Chris Bell tore his ACL too, man. That sucks for him.
Yeah, Connor Rogers compared him to Quincy Enunwa, so I was intrigued by him.
Well, you know what? And this is the thing. This is the problem for all those guys who are saying, "Oh, we'll just wait until next, 2027 to get our quarterback." We haven't even gotten to the NFL draft, and Chris Bell, who's probably one of the top 5-6 receivers in this class, tore an ACL. Connor Liu, who was the best center coming out in this draft, tore an ACL. If you put all your eggs in that basket, what happens if, at the Senior Bowl or the Combine, that quarterback blows out an ACL or an Achilles? Dude, my dad always said, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. And if we got a chance to get our quarterback now, you don't wait another year. It's funny, like all the fans that want to win now suddenly want to wait another year to get a quarterback. Why? If you got a chance to get your guy this year, you do it, period.
I completely agree, Ricky. I mean, again, you don't want to force it, but I will find it hard to believe that the Jets won't feel strongly about one of these quarterbacks when push comes to shove when we get to late April. It just feels like you have Mendoza, you have Moore, and there's usually someone else that could emerge as another first-round kind of guy. And maybe it's not with the Jets' first-round pick they get that guy, but there's always a chance it's that second first-round pick they get the guy. But I would be stunned if they don't leave round 1 with a quarterback, barring something completely unforeseen happening.
Yeah, I think if you're putting odds on what's most likely to happen, first-round quarterback, anything on day 2 or beyond, trade or veteran, I think the first-round quarterback is still the most likely for the Jets this year.
Matt, what can people expect on your channel? We noticed that you're wearing the Aaron Glenn themed Jets vest. Are you going to be talking more about the head coach of the NYJ this week on your program?
I'm sure we'll bring it up. We at some point have to preview this Jaguars game, which I've been putting off a little bit, but I might get into some of these Burrow rumors too. That's a hot button one floating around today. So
Joe Burrow, owned baby.
Love it, baby.
Matt, thanks for your time. As always, appreciate you doing this an hour earlier than normal.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jake.
Matt O'Leary with us, a married man himself. Comments, questions, super chats. Hey, reminder, join the Patreon if you haven't. I want to shout out Matt L., who joined yesterday for the year, saved 15% and got 10 raffle tickets applied to the weekly raffle. Shout out to Jordan Powell, Chuck Wagon, the Gabagool, Stone Cold Swagger, and Robin Boy Wonders for being our most recent Patreon members. Go to patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Join, and you will get access to that Discord that always has a lot going on day in, day out. Let's see. Good question here from Leon, who says, how much input does Aaron Glenn give to Tanner Engstrand in choosing the team's next quarterback / franchise quarterback? Glenn kind of forced Fields on him. I would imagine Engstrand would have way more input this go around than previously. So that's a great point by you, Leon. A great observation. Good note. Ultimately, it's Aaron Glenn's decision, though. Like, he's the final decider. Now, Muji's going to have a big role in this, too, but we know that this is a head coach-driven organization. Look, you don't take the quarterback, though, unless it's a fit for Engstrand, right? Which is why I think Mendoza you could picture it working out for the Jets because he's that true, drop back quarterback. He's comped to Jared Goff, who was the pass game coordinator for Jared Goff in Detroit. It was Tanner Engstrand. So you could see it. Jay Quest writes in, sucks because I want to root for Phillip Rivers, but in this situation, I can't. Yeah, it is a bummer that the coolest NFL story right now is 44-year-old Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement, but we as Jet fans can't root for him because every loss by the Colts helps the Jets, so it stinks. Bang says, we're still dreaming about Mendoza. We're discussing a scenario where he's the Jet quarterback. Bang, how is it dreaming? Bang Mateo has already determined that there's no way for the Jets to get Fernando Mendoza, which I think is ridiculous. Just like there was no way the Jets were going to get Sam Darnold. Remember that? And then all of a sudden, Darnold didn't go to Cleveland. And he didn't go to the Giants. And he was there at 3. You never know how it will play out. I think Mendoza and Dante Moore and Ty Simpson and maybe a quarterback we're not currently discussing that emerges are all definitely in play for the Jets in the first round. Maybe it's Jaden Mayava. Maybe it's Darian Mensah from Duke if he comes out. Everything should be on the table right now. Jake West says, Jake, we will see. Realistically, the Raiders are picking 1, but we will know more each week. Yeah, I mean, look, if I had to bet my life on who's picking 1, I guess I would lean with the Raiders just based on their schedule. But we just watched the Saints beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. Upsets happen all the time. So let's see. Yeah, the Raiders are playing the Eagles this week. The Eagles don't look like the Eagles right now. Is it possible? Kenny Pickett starting for them could beat his old team? Kenny Pickett revenge game? I also wouldn't get so attached to Fernando Mendoza, by the way. Like, again, I think he's the best quarterback, but that doesn't mean he will end up having the best career. It's such a crapshoot. All right, let's get to more of your calls before we wrap. Again, make sure you enter the raffle because this afternoon we're going to give away a signed Joe Namath football. Let's say hello on the Gusbuster hotline to Bradley, who's next. Hey, Bradley.
Hey, Jake. I've been watching you for more than a year now. It's first time calling, first time super chatting or anything, really.
Wow, what's up, Bradley? Where are you calling us from?
Snowy Syracuse. I don't know.
Nice.
There's a blizzard out there.
Nice. I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to put you in the raffle for 2 for being a first-time caller.
Appreciate that. I usually feel like I don't have too much to contribute, but I've got a bridge quarterback name that nobody's throwing out there. He's definitely younger than Phil Rivers. He's not got a team right now. He's been to a Super Bowl. He might be able to bring an energy to New York that the Jets are lacking. So humor me here for a second. What do you think of Cam Newton as the bridge?
I mean, he hasn't played football in a couple of years already. I don't know how much he's got left. He was pretty shot the last time we saw him.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like when I see Phillip Rivers get pulled out of the water like that, Cam's actively asking for a start. I don't know.
He hasn't played since 2021. He was 32 then, so that's 4 years ago. I don't know. I mean, Cam seems like a guy that's on TV now. I don't know if he'd want to come back. I'd be stunned. And I think the thing with Rivers, while it's ridiculous either way, Shane Steichen and him are very close. And Rivers apparently was running the same offense that Steichen calls for his kids' high school team, where Rivers was the head coach there. So there was already some familiarity with the system, right? So like that was kind of like the perfect situation for Rivers, where like he didn't need to learn a new system. He knows the head coach who he's super close with. Like that's kind of like how it came together, even if it is still ridiculous for him to be back. Cam Newton, there's no connection to him and Aaron Glenn or Tanner Engstrand.
Yeah, I just see him and he's in good shape, and yeah, that's really all there was to there, and the fact that he wants to keep starting. But yeah, that's all I had to add. If I were running the GM, I would give Cincinnati anything they wanted for Joe. Honestly,
you make the call. I don't think they're going to trade him, but you at least inquire.
Yeah, I'd say our chances definitely don't go down if we start courting and sending out offers. You don't get what you don't ask for. So
Bradley, good luck with the snow in Syracuse today.
Appreciate that. Stay warm.
You got it, Bradley. First-time caller checking in. Couple super chats I want to get caught up into here. Mr. Chill King, I think Fields gives us the best chance to lose. Cook may catch lightning in a bottle. He may actually win some games, whereas Fields won't get 50 yards. See, I don't know, though, because we've seen Fields, when it does click, he's had 2 great games this year, right? They should have won week 1 against Pittsburgh, and he played great against Cincinnati. If he catches lightning in the bottle over the last 4, it's good enough to win, right? So I don't know. I would like to get a look at Brady Cook for a full game this week, and then we'll figure it out. The game I'm the most concerned with the Jets winning is the Saints game. Even though New Orleans is playing better and Chuck's been decent lately, that game concerns me. I don't think they have a chance to win this week. I don't think they have a chance to win the Patriots game or the Bills game, because I think those teams are going to be playing their starters against the Jets. And the Bills, they're not going to want to lose the last ever game at their old stadium. I think the Jets' chances increase, though, with Fields, because as bad as he is, he has given you 2 great games this year. So we know it's in there, right? Remember Geno Smith had the perfect passer rating game at the end of 2013 and 2014 with the Jets? Like, what if Fields gives you one of those and you win this game you're not supposed to? Like, that would scare me. Bang Mateo writes in, Las Vegas will tank properly. They know what is at stake. Bang, please enlighten all of us how Las Vegas knows how to tank properly. What does that mean? You think 74-year-old Pete Carroll is trying to lose games on purpose? You honestly believe that? Because you're just full of shit if you believe that. They know how to tank properly. Okay, sure they do, Bang. What does that even mean? They're trying to win every game. They're just not very good. The Jets are not worse than the Raiders. They're not. They were not supposed to be going into the year. They're not worse based on what we have seen this year. So please explain to me how Las Vegas knows how to tank properly. You have no idea what you're talking about. You just make things up. It's a bunch of nonsense. Matt L. is in the raffle for 2. Thank you, Matt. I was 9 when we won Super Bowl 3. I'm still here. We must take a quarterback with our first pick. For God's sake, get a competent QB coach. We have a habit of not developing quarterbacks. Please, AG, get a QB coach. Well, the Jets, contrary to popular belief, they actually do employ a quarterback coach. The problem is the quarterback coach they employ is a former running back. And I have never understood this. So let's take a look here, right? This is Charles London's bio. He's the quarterback coach for the Jets. He played running back in college for Duke, okay? And as you see here in his bio, his experience, why he's qualified to coach quarterbacks, I am not understanding. He was a grad assistant with Duke. Then he was the running backs coach for Duke. He was an offensive quality control coach for the Bears. 2011, he's an offensive assistant for the Titans. Penn State running backs coach under Bill O'Brien. Texans running back coach when he went with Bill O'Brien to Houston. Bears running back coach, and then he becomes the quarterback coach in Atlanta in 2021 and 2022. He's the quarterback coach and pass game coordinator with the Titans in 2023. 2024, he's a quarterbacks coach with Seattle, and now he's the Jets quarterback coach this year. I'm not understanding why he's qualified to be a QB coach. Again, I think the Jets need to revamp the offensive staff ahead of the fact that they're going to have a rookie head coach a rookie quarterback, in some capacity on their team. Right? Like whether they take Mendoza more or they take someone with their second first-round pick, or they take someone in the second round early. Like they're going to have a rookie on their quarterback depth chart. I'm very confused why our QB coach is a former running back. Again, someone needs to explain this to me because I don't understand how he's qualified to coach quarterbacks. Maybe he's a great running backs coach. I don't know. Maybe Charles London's awesome at coaching quarterbacks. I have no idea. I've never heard the guy be interviewed and be asked why he's qualified. I don't know why Glenn hired him for this role. Someone needs to explain this to me. I don't get it. Ricky writes in with a super chat. What tanks properly is Bang Mateo's comment? I'd love to know what that means too, Ricky, but it's Bang Mateo's world, and we're all just living in it. Just dumb. We wonder why Fields never really had a chance between the wide receivers, Aaron Glenn, and Charles London. Like, that's a problem. All right. Last chance to get in on the show. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. We have our raffle this afternoon for the Namath Ball, so make sure you enter. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the suburbs, it's time.
Morning, America. We're on the road right now. We just got on the Pace Bus. We're on our way to 87. And Cicero, we're going to go get some good stuff. And I'm talking man's chicken and man beef. I'm gonna say this one time for everybody. 4 games. Finish the job. Get these last 4 and shut up about tanking. I'm sick and tired of the suck it up. Quit the crying. Get your asses in gear and stop your complaining. They don't pay you to complain in the NFL. They pay you to play. They pay you to look like a team instead of a bunch of whiny little bitches on your rags. So stop complaining, lace up your boots, get your ass on the field, and suck it up. Quit crying. Playtime's over. Finish these last 4 games, do your part, and shut your pie hole. Okay? Do us all a favor. And for the love of Christ, when it comes to the Patriots and they come to our house, you better break these bastards in so bad that when they bleed gushes of blood, you better make sure they bleed at least 6 big old gushes of blood. And I'm talking big time blood. Same with the Bills. I don't care if we go to their house and wreck their stadium or whatever. But what I say is finish the job, do your job, shut up, go in there, finish it up, finish the season out, and then when next year starts, $3 billion. We're gonna cut so much fat out of those contracts. 8 brand new players will be brought in. We will get Mendoza. We will succeed. And for the love of God, anybody, let me say this, if anybody puts our boys down, it's gonna get a big old swift kick in the ass, a nice size 11 boot. And don't think I ain't playing. I ain't playing. See, playtime's over. Either put up or you shut up. Win or go home. And get ready because baseball season's right around the corner. And get ready for basketball season because we've already started. So, to our boys, put up or shut up.
Hey, Beast, what are people on the bus saying right now? What is the reaction?
Doesn't matter. In the words of The Rock, it doesn't matter. What matters is you want to win, do it now. Shut up.
Are you the only person on the bus?
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is business is business. You want to win games. You got
on the bus besides you.
That doesn't bother me. Does it bother me? No, it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is
if anything bothers you. I'm simply asking: are you the only person on this bus right now?
No, not really. Just there's a few, but it doesn't bother me. No. What it matters is
are they giving you any looks on you screaming and yelling?
No. See, I'm a businessman. See, I know how to play hardball. And when you want to win games, do your job and do your part. Just shut up, win games, get out there, lace up your boots. It doesn't matter how much blood you take, how much guts you got left, but you better do your job and better do it now. Right now is the time to suck it up. Okay? Do your job and don't worry about what I do or what anybody else does. Okay? Thank you. Have a blessed, beautiful day.
Hey, give us a little. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and no, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, from Beastbreaker to Mad Max.
Mad Max ain't yapping about jets. That boy boy, he's jamming. He's slamming. Freaking dancing. Wall smashing. I'm Jake Asman. If Mad Max ain't ever stopped yapping, that boy, he still be dancing. Then call Jake Asman. He got an orange wall.
Can you guys hear me?
No.
Let's talk about the Jets versus Jags game. So I think the Jets are going to lose this game. The Jags are good. And for our defense, we got to play better on defense. If I was a coach of the Jets, I would have every offensive player and every defensive player catch balls all week in the jug machine so we can finally get our first interception of the year, Jake. What's your thoughts on that?
It'd be nice. I wouldn't count on it.
Hopefully the coaches do that. If I was the coach, I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to do it because I don't know if the Jets are about to boring selves. Honestly, Jake, I just hope they catch it. I hope they have the jug machine because the drops are a big part on offense. Mechie's is very good at dropping the ball, and Adrien Mitchell. But Adrien Mitchell's been playing better recently than John Mechie. What's your thoughts on that, Jake?
They need to make more plays.
I agree with you. I'm tired of Mechie dropping the ball. I thought he was a solid addition, but drops have been a big part of the problem. Jake. I got a good song for all the Eagles fans before we leave. Cry, Eagles, cry on the road to misery. Bye, Eagles, bye. You have lost by 1, 2, 3. It's your low, it's our high. And then we watch them cry. Cry, Eagles, cry on the road back to Philly. Jets, 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 Jets.
What are you guys' opinion on me doing a backflip through this orange wall?
Thank you, Mad Max. I'm not sure why that was relevant to anything. But a job well done nonetheless. We need the Eagles to lose to the Raiders. And that does seem incredibly unlikely. But we do need it. Where do we go from here? A super chat from Bang Mateo. Beast is the president of the Culture Club, parentheses, win. Bang, when they were 0-7 and they won a couple games, you can't sit here and act like you're that disgusted with the fact that a team that had a win total of 6.5 won some games here. I think we're now at a point when they got blown out against the Dolphins where the progress they were making, no, they really weren't. Better off just losing at this point. But your insistence on being mad at fans who are rooting for their team to win, I think is just silly. Because whether you're rooting for the Jets to lose or win, you have no impact on it. The Jets are going to try and win Sunday. I don't think they're going to because they're starting a UDFA at quarterback against a team that needs the game and is much better than them. That's why they're 12.5-point underdogs. But again, how you root doesn't impact things. So just accept it. The Raiders aren't tanking properly either. They're just bad, as are the Jets. The Raiders are just worse, though, so they might end up picking in front of the Jets. We will see. Ladies and gentlemen, he left, but then called back in. Do we have an update from the suburbs?
You know what time it is? A beach breaker. 666. I'm gonna take my fist and shove it up your ass, and then he gobble. We're not too far. We're just passing 73rd Street and Cicero, going right past State Road, and we're having a little fun. We're on our way first to Fair Play. You know why? Got to give me some chicken. A man's chicken. Plus, I'm going to see what pizzas they got because lately all these pizzas hasn't turned me on lately. I want something fresh, so we're going to see what we get to offer. And come Sunday, if there's some weird way for the love of Christ, just beat the Jaguars. That's all. It's not this. It's not.
Pizza turns you on.
Well, wait, I want something fresh. I make pizzas all the time, and sure. I make them because I like doing it. It's my fun. Same with chicken. Same with ribs. Same with tacos. Same with. Life is life, but you gotta be smart at that. And whatever Bang Mateo says, that guy is ass backwards, senile, doesn't have a clue what he's talking about, and completely brain dead, like a fried egg. Do you remember the 1980s commercial for the drug commercial going, "This is your brain"? That's brain when he's too high on crack. Guy's an idiot. So, Bang Mateo, your Jet takes are very F for failure because you don't know how to think. Your ideas are very stagnant, very piss poor, and very adequate. You need to go back to school, son. As for us fans, let's get ready for one more thing. Are we ready for the Wheel Championship? Are you ready for it?
We're not ready for it because it's not till the second show today.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck to you on that 1 to 3 live ESPN. I would like to call in today. I'm gonna try and see if I can call in onto the live ESPN New York. Do it live and make it easier for everybody to throw out the body slams, because when it comes to this show, I can throw the body slams just like the LOD. But like I'm gonna say one more time, Jacksonville, punish them.
Right now, we're getting some gabagool. If you really want some gabagool, you got to come get the gabagool. Catch you later.
Beast will be throwing the body slams on the radio today. Get ready, folks. Last super chat here before we wrap. Matt L says 2026 Jets QB coach, Phillip Rivers. He'd have to take a pay cut to do that. He's got like 1 million kids, so I don't know if he'd want to go into coaching. But I'd love to have someone like that as our quarterback coach. Again, I don't know what Charles London does or why he's qualified. Someone needs to explain that to me. If we're going to draft a rookie, let's surround that rookie with the best coaching possible. Like, I would legitimately hire someone whose job is to only work with the quarterback the Jets take. Let's do everything in our power to get this right, because that's the only way this truly changes long-term for the Jets, is if they hit on the quarterback they draft. That's what it comes down to. Can they get it right? I don't know, but they have to try. We will be back this afternoon, 4:30 Eastern, roughly. Dylan Terraman will be the guest. We'll give away the Namath football, so we'll give you another chance to win this afternoon for those of you not watching live right now. Again, join the Patreon if you haven't, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show, and tune in today on the ESPN New York YouTube channel or on the ESPN New York app from 1 to 3, as I'm sitting in for Michael K this afternoon. I will talk to you guys a little bit later on here on YouTube. JETS. Jets, Jets, Jets. Hey, there we go. Light it up, Ricky. Yeah, let's get back to your calls right now. One of our favorites is on the Ghostbuster hotline. Ricky NY joins us now. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, Jake.
Hey, Ricky, how you doing?
Thanks for taking my call, Jake. I just finished smoking all the available weed in the panhandle, so bear with me if I collapse here in front of my personalized flag. Any chance you could send that boxing guy, Gary, to the Jameis Winston town? Maybe Gator can build a special hall for quarterbacks who throw more interceptions than completed passes. Yeah, not a Florida guy, but can go to Seminoles all the way there. I've got a whole lot. Let's get all of them in there. I don't give a shit. Well, I think I got to relight this thing. Hold on a second. I just got this new blowtorch lighter. Let's try it out. Try it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Should have backed off that setting a bit. Anyway, Jake, I'll hang up for now and grab the burn kit again. Later, brother.
Oh, my God.
Yo, Gator is different, man. That dude is different.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.